Well, it first started out, I think I was 26 years old and I had my first back surgery when I was playing for Colorado. And, you know, it was just, I didn't know what was going to happen in my career if I was able to put the skates back on and play again. And it was kind of, I started thinking about life after hockey, of what I wanted to do and what I was capable of doing. I came up with the idea of maybe buying a hockey team and, you know, building around that. And first I brought it to the attention of my father, and then he brought it to the attention of Ty and Brock.
Jamie came to me when I just had retired from my working world and said, hey, you know what, why don't we put all our money together and buy an SPHL franchise? And I said, well, okay, that sounds great. And we happened to find that there was a dormant team. And so we bought that franchise. And now we have that franchise in the SPHL. And then it was, okay, where do we put this darn franchise now that we have it? And we actually have to start playing in another 18 months. So
initially I wanted to bring a team to Daytona Beach and, you know, think of that nice beach weather and everything. And then Rob and Sean got a hold of us and said, I heard you want to place a team in the SPHL. Please come visit Roanoke. Yeah. So right away we all jumped on a plane and came down to Roanoke and met Robin and came to the Berglund Center and everything. And we went to a local bar down the street and we just looked around and there was this old wooden hockey stick up in the bar. And we asked the bartender, has there been hockey around here? And he said, no, not for over 20 years. And but everyone here in Roanoke loves hockey and they're just dying for a team back. And we kind of looked at each other and we knew Roanoke was the place for us.
We went to one of the bars here and just kind of saw that there was a desire for sports in this town, and like people love talking about sports, and we kind of flew underneath the radar on what we were doing, and we just fell in love with the city. The people, we were here for 3 or 4 days and everybody was so nice, welcoming to us, family from Canada, and you know, we just fell in love with the city. And
we kept on drawing back to Virginia, and in particular Roanoke. And I have to do huge kudos to the manager, general manager of the Berglund Center, Robin Sean, who we sat down and had a few conversations, and what she was telling me made sense, and what I was telling her made sense to her, to the point where, why don't you and the boys come down to Roanoke and let's talk turkey.
I don't know what happens to people if they just wake up one day and say, hey, I think I want to own a hockey team. But they don't understand the money, the commitment, the time, the everything that has to go into, you know, having a hockey team, buying a hockey team, and sustaining a hockey team. It's not easy. A retired Philadelphia Flyer, Tim Kerr, he visited me a couple of times, and he was actually the connection between me and Bob McGinn. And I went, oh, here we go again. We've got another group. Sure, tell them to come on down. Well, then I did my homework and found out, you know, they're very involved in hockey. And I knew all about Jamie and Ty and Brock by the time he got here. So I knew that they knew a lot about hockey. They came with a business plan. They came with a marketing plan. I didn't have to tell them, all right, go back and develop this and then come back and see me when you've got it. Their experience with hockey, at whatever level it was, all the way up to the NHL, they knew what it took from the operational side to make a hockey team work. From my perspective, having that plan, and then I'm just going to take it a step further. I knew that I was going to have a great relationship with these people because we were investing in it together. So when I spoke with Bob too, I said, I have a handful of people who may be interested in ownership, but I need to have serious conversations with them. And when I do, that means you're going to have to come down here again from Canada and have a conversation so they can meet you face to face.
I was sitting in my office. I was working at Roanoke College at the time, and my telephone rang, and it was Robin Sean. She said, just keep your mouth shut and come down here. And so when Robin tells you to do something like that, that's what I did. And that was the first time I was exposed to the idea that became the Rail Yard Dawgs. And we had the opportunity to speak to Robin, to the McGinns, and you know, it was such a compelling story, what they wanted to do, that it was almost a no-brainer.
I think the vision was just such a balanced vision and worked with what we wanted all along, but they wanted like great staff, fans, like a fan base that we just could never imagine as wonderful as it is. And like working in the community and community outreach and just all that balanced out, I think was a vision that we liked.
Yeah.
I will remember driving back home from Smith Mountain Lake one, I think it was on a weekend, and Terry got a phone call from Robin, and I think that was where the idea got floated, and so then we just started talking about it, and it was an incredibly exciting idea. I think we were both really, I don't know if gleeful is the right word, but it was a pretty exciting moment.
Started one day when Chip Grubb called me. He said, "I'd just like to pick your brain and tell you what's going on." He says, "There's a possibility of maybe a hockey team coming to town." And him and Robin Schoen, we sat down and we talked about the McGinns and the opportunity that may be coming. And I said, well, I'd like to be involved if at all possible. So it was basically Chip Grubb and Robin Schoen is the reason why we found out about it and was it at the ground level.
So Robin, Sean, and I had a couple conversations about the possibility of hockey here. So when the McGinns started talking to her about potentially bringing a franchise here, she said, I'd really prefer to have some local owners. And oh, by the way, there's this crazy couple, Chip and Bonnie Grubb, that you might want to reach out to. And Bob called me and we spent like an hour on the phone just talking. And we just hit it off. He obviously had a great vision. And then a couple weeks later, he came to Roanoke and I picked him up, showed him around, took him to the Star, took him downtown, really wanted to show off Roanoke.
I think when they brought their vision, it was so matched with what we had wanted already that I think, and just their enthusiasm, not only for hockey and for running a business, but also their enthusiasm for the Roanoke Valley and the Blue Ridge. They were just so excited to be a part of it. And the fact that they wanted minority owners to come in and to be a balanced part of the ownership so that we would have a footprint in the community, I think really resonated with us.
I've been in this business for about 40 years, and I can name 3 press conferences that will always be a part of my career highlights. And announcing the Rail Yard Dawgs is definitely one of them. Nobody knew what to expect. They thought, can we get 50 people there? Will 100 people show up? There were hundreds of people that showed up, and they bought merchandise, and it just gives me chills thinking about it. It was beautiful. I'd love to relive that moment just for a second because it was so awesome.
And we had, 600, 700, 800 people. For a hockey team that wasn't even going to play for another 11 months, come out to the Berglund Center to listen to what I had to say, what the team was. And before I was even introduced, I looked over the crowd and I went, holy jeez, what have we created here?
And they totally overwhelmed us in terms of merchandise, and we had the idea of selling season tickets, taking deposits for season tickets. And gosh, we had a ton of people that put down deposits. And then we made our own seating chart. And that was before we hired Mickey. We didn't have anybody. So I had this great big poster board of a seating chart of the Berglund Center. And we started selling tickets on that poster board. And we were actually at 419 one night, the restaurant. And the people on the table next to us started talking about hockey coming and being interested in hockey. I ran out to the car and brought back in my poster board and sold them tickets at 419. We sold them 4 season tickets and they got to pick their seats, and it was pretty cool.
I wasn't here with the initial release of the Dogs, but my wife was here and they were selling merchandise before we had even played a game before, and I forget where I was, I couldn't make it, but she came down and she was telling me that she was selling merchandise for 5 or 6 hours straight, and there was a line up out the door, and it was just like kind of a surreal moment for me, knowing that we haven't even put a product on the ice yet.
Chip Grubb driving down to North Carolina to pick up all the replica jerseys, and him and I, 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning in the hallway of the Berglund Center sorting out sizes because we were going live the very next day at the event. And I thought it was so funny because they'd only set up one table for us I said, hey, we got to have more than one table. We ended up having 3 large tables that we had to go out and get some help. Everybody was selling. Arms and elbows were going everywhere, bags. I mean, it was just tremendous. So we knew that the excitement was there.
I know we've had a lot of just local support from people that we know. That first night at the Berglund Center, like you said, with all the merchandise, it was just like a swarm of people. We have a couple of really long-time friends that have been through this process with us. They came around and said, do you want us to help? I'm like, yes, get back here. And it was just the excitement of it.
We sold 600 season tickets that night, 2 hours. That scared me. Now we had a team that was going to play 11 months from now, and we had 600 season ticket people that paid their money for a team they've never seen before. Haven't had professional hockey in 10 years. We needed to get a general manager. We were very lucky. We got from Peoria, Mickey Gray, who's still with us to this day. Now we had to get a coach. Now we had to get staff. Now we had to get all sorts of other things and sell more season tickets. So when you come to that October 18th day, you just saw people continually rolling in to the Berglund Center, rolling in. When that puck dropped, and I think there was a fight within the first minute or two of the game, the crowd went bananas. And Roanoke was in love with the Rail Yard Dawgs.
The plan from the start was, we purchase a franchise and then we get 5 local owners. My brothers are involved, my dad's involved, and all 3 of us were still playing hockey. So my dad was, running the team as chairman, grew our franchise to where it is now, and the plan was always that when I retire and get my feet wet for a couple of years, then I would eventually take over. So that handoff happened about 3 years ago, which my dad helped me out a lot with that. My dad did a great job in the community. He knows everyone's name and face and would enjoy a beer with them and just say hi, and he does an amazing job. He's a real people person. He set it up, and it was also his idea to give back with the summer camps for youth hockey and everything like that. So we've continued to do that because it was a great idea and just grow the game of hockey in Roanoke. So when I started out, I didn't have a big role in this. I watched as many games as I could. One of the biggest lessons I learned growing up was if you want to be the head of a company, you have to start from the bottom and you have to learn every position so that when someone comes to you with a problem, you know what they're talking about. Coming in right away, I was on the bench with Dan, being assistant coach and helping out, learning the ins and outs of how Dan runs practice and what guys need. And then, meeting with all the staff and seeing how tickets run and working with Alexander and then working with Mickey. Now I've stepped into one of 2 governors, myself and Mickey Gray, and then chairman of the ownership group of the Dogs. So it's been a fun road. I've been a sponge. I haven't pretended like I know everything. I just want to learn as much as I can and make sure that my staff has everything that they need and they want to be a part of this franchise as well. Well, I found out the hard way, our staff puts in a lot of hours and a lot of work and a lot of folding. So we won the championship. My family flew back home, and then my father and I flew back for the championship parade. The night before, I got in and saw all the staff folding a ton of championship gear and everything, and I hopped right in there and put my folding skills to the test, which Andrew was riding me a lot about, but we got the job done and we were ready to go for that. So that was something that I didn't think I'd be a part of, but I'm glad I got to experience it. The night we won the cup was very special. That was the first time that the Dogs were playing and both brothers were in the building and my parents. So to see all of it come together and all of us be under the roof, to witness it live was pretty special. Now you know what it tastes like. You want to keep getting back there every year. We know it's not going to happen every year, but if we play the right way and do the right things, we're going to have a good chance to get there. And you enjoy one and now you're hungry for 2. I think the hardest part being an ex-player is sitting there and having no control of the outcome of the game. I can't go make a hit. I can't go score a goal or change the momentum. I can do all the right things and set everyone up how they need to be now and then just sit back, and it's pretty frustrating sometimes, but it's been enjoyable to be able to sit back and watch the guys go at it and go to battle every night. And when I'm in town, I make sure that they know how appreciative I am for them doing that. But the plan was for me to take over, and now I'm just trying to do the best I can and continue to climb the mountain and keep the franchise moving upward. Yeah, I think that's a good way of looking at it. Is I have a 5-year plan and then another 5-year plan, and every time I think it's growth. You know, grow as an overall organization, grow on the ice, grow as a coaching staff. You know, Dan has to continue to get better, which he is. Grow as a staff and grow as an ownership group. So it's all boots on the ground, and you know the staff does an amazing job of keeping everything going in the right direction. You know, in Roanoke, and I do anything I can and help out the best way I can from Canada. But you know, it's a lot of the hard work from our staff here to keep the growth going in the right direction and kind of keep the vision pointed forward. What means the most to me is just, you know, the fans in Roanoke, in the city, how they've got behind us, kept us here for 10 years. We're so excited to have this new logo for the 10-year anniversary, and I just can't thank the fans in the city of Roanoke enough for accepting our family and this ownership group to have a franchise here. So we're very honored and humbled that you know, we're going on 10 years, and we look forward to another 10.